Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation who has not only taken the WNBA by storm, but has also become the center of national debates about sportsmanship, player safety, and now civil rights. And today, we're breaking down bombshell legal developments that could set the stage for something the sports world has never seen before. A full-blown civil rights case involving a professional athlete while she's still playing. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about equal protection under the law, workplace harassment, and the legal roadmap that's now emerging for Caitlin Clark to take action. Since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, she's faced unprecedented physical targeting on the court. We're not talking about normal rookie hazing or hard-nosed defense. We're talking about blatant, repeated, dangerous hits, elbows to the head, shoves after the whistle, body checks that would get you suspended in the NBA or NFL. Fans have been outraged. Sports analysts have been split. And league officials? Silent. So how does this connect to civil rights law? While the WNBA is a sports league, it's also an employer. Players are employees. And the basketball court is legally considered a workplace. If Clark's legal team can argue that she's being targeted because of who she is, whether that's her race, gender presentation, or even because she's breaking traditional norms in women's basketball, then she could have a legitimate claim that her civil rights are being violated. Here's where things get interesting. Legal analysts are now pointing out a three-step roadmap Caitlin Clark's camp could follow if they decide to act. Clark's team would need to compile video evidence of every dangerous hit, every ignored foul, and every comment from opposing players that suggests intent. This isn't hard. Fans on social media have already been compiling hours of footage showing Clark being targeted in ways other players are not. It's not enough to show Clark gets fouled a lot. They'd have to prove she's treated differently than other players in similar situations. That means showing examples of referees calling fouls for other stars in identical plays, but swallowing the whistle for Clark. The key here is that the WNBA, as her employer, has been put on notice about the behavior and has failed to address it. If they've received complaints, formal or informal, and have chosen not to act, they could be liable for allowing a hostile work environment to continue. If Caitlin Clark actually filed a civil rights lawsuit while still playing in the league, it would be historic. Normally, players wait until retirement or until a contract dispute arises before taking legal action. But doing it mid-career, especially as a rookie, would send shockwaves across the sports world. It would also force the WNBA to make a choice. Either protect its biggest star or risk losing her to another league, perhaps even overseas, where safety protocols and officiating might be stricter. And here's the kicker. A case like this wouldn't just affect Clark. It could change how all athletes are protected in their professional environments, especially in women's sports where physical targeting often gets downplayed. Unwelcome conduct. Repeated physical targeting clearly qualifies, based on a protected characteristic. This could be gender, race, or even retaliation for her popularity. Severe or pervasive, the hits and harassment aren't isolated. They've been a season-long pattern. Employer liability. The WNBA knew or should have known, but failed to act. The protected characteristic angle is where things get delicate. Some believe Clark's treatment stems from resentment over her race, as a white player dominating a predominantly black league, and her unprecedented media attention. Others think it's more about jealousy over her popularity and marketability. Either way, if those motives are proven, it's a civil rights violation. Basketball is a physical sport. Contact is part of the game. No intent to discriminate. They'd argue Clark is defended harder because she's good, not because of any protected characteristic. Equal enforcement. They'd claim officiating mistakes happen to everyone. But here's the problem. The pattern against Clark is so obvious that casual fans, former players, and even mainstream commentators have noticed it. That makes it harder for the league to say it's just random. The WNBA Players Association could also be drawn into this. If they side with Clark, they could pressure the league to implement stricter officiating standards and harsher penalties for targeting. But if they side against her, maybe to protect veteran players who have been accused of taking cheap shots, then this becomes a player versus player battle in addition to a legal one. And let's not forget, the union has a duty to represent all players, which could put them in an awkward position if one member is accusing others of harassment, even before any lawsuit is filed. This is already playing out in the court of public opinion. Sports talk shows are openly questioning whether the league is endangering its star rookie. If Clark's camp plays this right, public pressure could force the WNBA to act before legal papers are even filed. And if they don't, that public outrage becomes part of the narrative in court. So let's imagine for a second, Caitlin Clark wins a civil rights case against the WNBA. The fallout would be massive. Rule changes, stricter penalties for dangerous plays, maybe even automatic suspensions for flagrant contact, referee accountability, public grading of officials, and possible firings for repeated failures. Cultural shift. The idea that targeting a player because of race, gender, or popularity is not just bad sportsmanship. It's illegal. It could also mean significant financial damages, both in compensation for emotional distress and potentially punitive damages to send a message. On the flip side, if she files and loses, the WNBA could claim vindication. Critics would say she was just looking for attention or couldn't handle the physicality. That's why Clark's legal team, if she has one preparing this, would be incredibly careful about building the case. They'd need overwhelming evidence and airtight legal arguments before making a move this big. So when could this happen? Legal insiders say the earliest we'd see anything official would be off-season 2025. That's because filing mid-season could cause chaos in the locker room and distract from the games. But behind the scenes, you can bet there are already conversations happening. Lawyers reviewing footage, weighing claims, and preparing the legal roadmap for the moment Clark decides enough is enough. Make no mistake, we are watching history in the making. Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA to change the game on the court. But if this legal roadmap turns into a real case, she might end up changing it off the court forever. Because this isn't just about fouls, or bad referees, or jealous opponents. This is about whether a professional athlete has the right to a safe workplace, and whether a league will protect its players when it matters most. So will Caitlin Clark take the legal leap? Or will the WNBA finally step in before the courts have to? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more WNBA updates.